Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here today to meet such young people and talk to them about things that really matter. You would have met very few people on earth who tell you that they get paid to have fun. I'm one of them. This is a journey which has lasted 40 years, and I have not had a single boring day. This is to tell you that journalism is a great profession. Being a writer is even more. Because you see various perspectives of life, you see various colors, you'll travel a lot. I've traveled to every state in India other than Sikkim. Sometime back, the shipping ministry came to me with a proposal saying that they wanted a coffee table book on lighthouses of India. And the first thing they told me is, we don't have any money. But we can pay for your travel, and that's it. And it took me 5 seconds to say yes. Because I told myself, how many Indians would you meet who had traveled the entire coast of India? So I traveled all the way from Gujarat down and up to Bengal. It took me 1.5 years to do that, but that travel taught me so much. Travel is a great educator, and I would say it's compulsory for all of you to travel, because that will teach you much more than what any education or any degree can teach you. Let me take you through a few of my experiences. As I told you about journalism, this is so varied and the experience is so rich that every day you start learning something new. I would start with one experience where I was researching on children who were forced into sex work in India. That took me to a place called Sonagachi in Calcutta, which is one of the biggest red light areas in Asia. I met a girl who is about 13 years old called Sadhna. I don't have a picture here, and I don't want to have one. These are general pictures of children in Sonagachi. And it was such a heart-changing experience for me to be with her for about 2.5 hours. When I told her that I've just come to talk to you, she was very happy, and she was more than willing to talk, though I have never met her before. She was talking to a complete stranger. Her dream in life was to study at the Shantiniketan. And she kept talking about it. So one of her uncles told her that, look, I know a lot of professors at Shantiniketan, I can take you there. And he took her to Calcutta, and from the railway station, he took her straight to Sonagachi and sold her for 10,000 rupees. That is the value of human life. One of the great benefits of being a journalist is that you see sociology, you see history, you see geography, and you see all the changes that you can document down the years. When I got up to go, after taking a lot of copious notes after my conversations with her, which was really heart-wrenching, because I saw that she had no faith in men and that she hated religion, she hated God, she had no faith in natural justice. And when I got up to go, she asked me, how did you come here? I said, in a car. Which car? Maruti 800. It's a private taxi. Which color is it? Red. Then I asked her, why are you asking me all these questions? And she said, I've not sat in a car for ages. So I asked her, would you like to sit in one? And she said, that would be wonderful. So I spoke to the brothel owner. She said, you've got to pay me $1,000 to do that, but you cannot take her out alone. I'll send you with an escort. So out we went with an escort. And the moment we got out of the bylines of Sonagachi, by the way, brothels don't look the way they look in Hindi films. They are dirty, they are stinky. It was like patches on the wall, and it was a terrible experience, those 2.5 hours there. But the moment you hit the road, she was so excited because she could see the roads, she could see the payments, she could see the people, the shoppers, the mannequins, and the trams and the life in Calcutta. And I told myself, look how we take life for granted, and look what this means for her. So I wanted to raise her experience a little more. So I told her, let's go out go out and look at the Victoria Memorial. Now, she had never seen that. And the moment I took her to the Victoria Memorial, She stood there transfixed, as if it is the most beautiful monument ever built by man. For us, I would drive past the Victoria Memorial without even looking at it. But for her, it was an event. So I wanted to raise her experience a little more. So I said, let's go out for dinner. And I took her to a restaurant. And it was so exciting for her to sit at a table and to be served by waiters. After we finished dinner, I told her it's time to go. And that's when she stopped talking to me. Because all through, there was so much of chitter-chatter going on. As if we were two great friends. We had met after many years. But when I said it's time to go, there was complete silence. And there was silence all the way to the brothel. When we reached the brothel, she looked at me, and with tears swimming in her eyes, she said, "Today has been the most beautiful day of my life. Thank you." And when she said this, there were tears in my eyes too. What I mean to say is, we need to be empathetic. And if we are empathetic, we can look at other people's lives from a very different standpoint. These are other pictures of Sonagachi. As I said, travel teaches you a lot. This is a picture from Nagaland. And I knew nothing about Nagaland. And I asked my editor to transfer me to the Northeast, a place which I did not know. The reason why I did that is, and it's important to take risks in life, I wanted to be in a place where no one recognizes me, and I do not know anything about that place, because familiarity breeds contempt. So off I went to the Northeast. I did not even know the name of the Chief Minister of Nagaland at that point of time, nor did I know the politics of the place. But when I went to the Northeast, all the different states seemed like different countries to me. As it is, India is such a rich sociology. Every state is like a different country. You cannot compare Tamil Nadu with Mizoram, for example. What I'm trying to say here is, until you go out and meet people, you do not know what the realities in life is like. I understood why Nagaland is a different kind of state, why people in Nagaland hate India, why do they want independence. The reason being, when I went, traveled through all the districts of Nagaland to write a diary on, and I called it the Nagaland, a reporter's diary on Nagaland, I came to know harrowing stories of what people told me of what had happened when insurgency started and the security forces moved into Nagaland. And their sisters and wives were raped in front of them. These were memories that they could not forget. And that had built their hatred for India. The security forces for them signified that this was what India was all about. I want to once again take you to another hair-raising experience of mine while covering the war in Sri Lanka. We were traveling through the war zones, and believe me, there was no fear, because the adrenaline was so high. I was so excited about the fact that I was there watching history. I was there watching war as it happened in front of me. We went off to Jaffna, and the hotels would not give us a room because they said that you need LTT permission to get a room here. So off we went to an LTT camp, and we wanted to stay there because I thought this is a great experience to be with the LTT. But the LTT said, you can't stay with us because we might get bombed at night, and if we get bombed and you two guys get killed, me and my photographer, the international press would go to town saying that we killed 2 journalists. So off they took us 40 minutes away to a very far off place and put us in a small little house. And I was guarded by a little boy who had a cyanide capsule around his neck, and he had a machine gun with him. He was guarding me. So I said, we don't need to be guarded. He said, no, you could be attacked. So it is our job to secure you. The next day, they took us back into the town and they left us in Jaffna to do our job. And like a good journalist, I did everything. I did a lot of interviews. I met the police commissioner. I met the LTT. I went to the Sinalis. And all the kind of people that you need to meet to put a good cover story for India Today together. But there is this element of greed always. You know, you want to do something little more because you think you'll get something more. So I kept pushing my luck. And suddenly I found our car was stopped by a guy who was riding a motorcycle. And he beckoned us out, and he said, "Who are you?" So I said, "We are Indian journalists." So he said, "Oh, you are Indian dogs." And I didn't fight with him. My photographer wanted to fight with him, but I said, "Relax, take it easy." And I put him back in the car, I negotiated with him, and I asked him, "Who are you?" So he took out his wallet and showed me a picture. The picture was of a skull. He said, "This is my identity." I put it back in his pocket, and he said, "Get out of my country." And he pushed off. A few minutes later, I heard police sirens behind me, and there were 3 police cars which came. The police pulled us out of our taxi, threw us into their police jeeps, took us to a police station, and dropped us there, and they pushed off. And they took our passports away, the cop at the police station. After some time, I went back to the cop. I told him, "Please give us our passports back because we have work to do." So he looked at me and he smiled, and he said, "You won't need your passports again." So I asked him why. So he smiled again, and he said, "Have you heard of garlanding?" Garlanding is a term in Sri Lanka at the time of the war where the LTT would capture Sinhalese soldiers, and the Sinhalese would capture LTT soldiers, and they would put a tire around them. So your hands are locked, and your hands can't move, and they light the tire, and they leave you there. So you can't even move. You burn, slowly burn to death. And all along our route from Colombo to Jaffna, we saw numerous bodies on the street where bodies were charred, and all you had was a metal wire of the tire which could not burn. That is the only moment in my life in 40 years that I've got scared. And suddenly I thought of my wife, I thought of my son, I thought of my dad, mom, my relatives, my friends. And this is not the way I wanted to go. But there was nothing to do. He said, "Go and sit in that corner." So off I went. I sat on a bench for 1 hour, which seemed like years to me. I did not know what to do, and I kept thinking of what is the way to get out and to get my passport back. Suddenly, I saw a tall guy walking in the compound. He was wearing bathroom slippers, he had shorts, and he was wearing a vest, and he had a handlebar mustache. And I said, "Oh, this must be the top cop here." So I ran to him, and I said, "Look, sir, you are in trouble. You have taken our passports, and do you know what the defense minister of Sri Lanka said on television? He said, 'I invite international journalists to come to Sri Lanka to report the war so that they know the truth. And here you are stopping us from doing our duty.'" So he said, "Why are you here?" I said, "I don't know. The police have just thrown us here, and you have taken our passports." So he rushed into the police station. He asked for the passports, took the passports, checked it, gave it back to us, and said, "Please continue your job and do not talk about this." And that's why I'm here telling you the story. But the lesson to learn here is it's very important to take risks, as I told you, but it's important not to take foolish risks. Another story which I quickly want to talk to you about, which won me the Ramnath Goenka Award for Excellence in Journalism, is pesticide in food. We have, you just had some of it now, we have pesticide in our breakfast, in our lunch, and in our dinner. And India has become the largest producer of pesticides in the world. It has also become the largest user. One of the reasons is because we use pesticides in a very, very careless way. I would quickly want to tell you that the most dangerous vegetables to eat is cauliflower, cabbage, brinjals, ladyfingers, tomatoes. These contain large amounts of pesticide, including palak, which is spinach. One way to do that is when you go to the market and buy vegetables, do not encourage your moms to buy cauliflowers which are white in color. They are white because they are dipped in a bucket of pesticides before they are sent to the market so that they bleach. Natural cauliflower looks a bit dirty yellow. Always buy the dirty yellow one because that is safer. Grapes is, again, a very, very dangerous fruit to have. If you want to eat grapes, please put it in water for at least 1 hour and wash it, rinse it well. The only good thing I have to tell you about pesticides is that pesticides are water soluble, but the pesticide which has gone inside the fruit or the vegetable cannot be removed. And we all have to fight for organic farming to come back into this country. Hundreds of years ago, there was nothing called pesticide farming. It was all organic farming. But today, our land has been poisoned with pesticides. Punjab is a solid example of how our land has been poisoned. Communal rights have been another thing that has exercised me a lot because I've covered a hell of a lot of communal rights in this country. I lived in Gujarat for 9 years, so I've covered almost all the communal rights there. I've even written a book on communal rights. My last book was on Narendra Modi. It's called Modi Demystified, The Making of a Prime Minister. And when I go and talk to journalism students, I always tell them, you all are not Hindus or Muslims or Christians or Sikhs. You all are journalists. That is your religion. And we should never forget that. Communal rights, nobody is communal in this country. But it is the politics of this country which has made people communal. And we need to understand that. Don't believe everything that you read today, because the media today does not get you the truth. Always understand this. Truth is what someone somewhere wants to hide. The rest is all advertising. What you guys are seeing on television today, what you're reading in print today is all advertising. And that is why young people like you need to develop something called critical thinking. Always start thinking on your own. Read between the lines. It's very important to get to the truth. I think we must tell the truth even if it hurts. And I want to end by saying this. It does not matter how big your audience is, but it's very important to continue doing the good work. Thank you.